Never trust anybody.
It's not their fault if you fell. It's your fault.
If they're there to listen to you, you better give them something good to listen to.
Have you ever had anybody try to do a trade for exposure?
I gotta talk to you about this because it's like mind-blowing. If somebody comes out and tells you, oh, I know what's gonna happen, I have it all figured out, it's a scam.
A lot of people aren't even approaching it from a relationship perspective.
If they don't need your product, move on.
They're being product pushers and they're trying to sell.
The audience is sick of push marketing.
There's kind of a trend of like views going down across the board on all social media.
What? Yeah. Just because you see somebody has a ton of followers on Instagram, that's not mean that's a profitable business. Imagine that there's no more Instagram tomorrow. What happens to your business?
Just for the purpose of this episode, like I want people to really take a hold, because like you might be starting a business, you might be thinking, okay, I don't know even where to start with branding. And so like if you could really give some insight on that to help people, you know, and to get them started at least, because I know that like some people start like this concept and branding and things. It's like, and yeah, is it better to hire, you know, someone like Ale to really get you going? But you can do that even later, you know, if you need to you pull some resources and allocate towards it, you know, just to get started. Because I see a lot of like small micro businesses just do a completely awful job with their branding. And a lot of it's because, I mean, it is extremely crucial. And so go ahead and just like, kind of step in. I've read some books that were really powerful when it came to branding, and it really like helped my perception, because I thought I knew and I had some degree of knowledge on it, but man, what's that guy's name? It's called like the branding. I'm going to look up the book.
The Brand Gap?
Yes, the Brand Gap.
Marty Neumeier.
Yes.
He's
excellent.
So good.
Excellent book, man.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this is...
I know my crowd, dude. No.
Just instantly got intimidated.
He's only like, I mean, the top guy of the industry to talk about branding. So yeah, definitely one of the guys I follow when I created my own like framework and stuff. And because one of the things that I noticed when I first started, I was a designer. Like I got out of school as a graphic designer, and a lot of the times I got clients that came to me and said, I need a logo, I need this, and I need that. Yeah. And a lot of times I could see that they didn't need that, or there was other things that could be a better fit. Yeah. So I started like diagnosing and helping them like, you know, find other solutions for them that could be maybe less costly sometimes. Like if I could see that they were struggling with it. And that's how I got into brand strategy. Yeah. And there at that moment, there was not a lot out about it. Like it wasn't industry standard. Like people kind of, there was not really a good definition of what it was or what it involved. Yeah. And there was just a few people that did it, and it was a very like, I mean, it was kept, right? Like horses, or you have to like paid and
without a doubt. Yeah. Yes.
So what I did is I started listening to podcasts and started listening to YouTube videos. And then that guided me to like the top people that were talking about these things. But they're all talking about it in their own different perspectives. Yeah. And so what I did was I just like ate it all. Like I was like, I'm going to read about all of these authors and then pick the things that I really like about each one of them and how to apply them to my own audience and create that framework for them.
That's great. I love that.
Marty Neumeier was one of them. So,
dude, his book was really good. It's a very small book, and I suggest anybody like starting a business read it, because it'll help you, because branding isn't just, you know, like that logo design and things that a lot of people kind of assume that it is. It's like how people perceive you. And so I think just the way you deal with your clients or customers or whoever it might be is a huge part of that branding. Yeah. And then it's like, obviously, like when you have a conception of like what you want your branding to be, then you use marketing and things like that to be able to push forward the idea of like what you want your branding to feel like. But in the end, it's not up to you. Like you have a decision to make of like how you want to try to get it to be perceived, but you really have to, in my opinion, you really have to be very aware of like how your audience is perceiving it.
Yeah. And that's a huge like mindset shift, because a lot of people really do think that you're doing branding when in fact, like, a brand, and this concept has evolved with time. Like back in Coca-Cola times, brand was that.
Exactly.
And so, but then the more that the market has evolved and the more that the power has gone to like the audience itself to be discerning of what they want and their possibilities, they started, that term started to evolve into like, okay, it is what the audience thinks of your brand. And the bigger the brand, the harder to manage that perception.
Yes.
And so, honestly, it's not a process that it starts and ends like a lot of people think it is. It's actually a process that continues through the journey of your
never ending.
It's never ending. That's right.
Yeah.
Because essentially your brand is your first impression to...
It's not just the first one, actually. It's like the continuous touch points you have with your audience. So, for example, if you in branding,
that's how you can mess up your brand.
That's right. That's right. And like they continue, like what am I trying to say? Like when, for example, touch point where you have this person coming into your business and they had a really bad reaction from a customer service point of view.
Okay.
In that person's mind, your brand sucks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Even though you're doing everything to be able to create, that one employee that had a bad day, that reacted bad to that customer,
Wow.
it's going to make an impression on that customer. And it could be like the first, second, or third time that happens. And so it's not just the first reaction or the first impression. It's like continued, right?
The lasting impression.
Yeah.
Well,
And
it never ends. It's kind of like what Bud Light did, where they had that new move where they were trying to really join that trans community.
the spokesperson. I saw.
And their consumers were like,
Oh, hell no. Yeah.
right? Like, so they didn't even understand their consumer base at that point. And, with that consistency needing to be on the brand, it's like, you have to, it's a game that you're consistently playing and consistently to move forward. And they took a major hit from that. Target did the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. They had all this crazy clothing for kids that people are like, oh my goodness. So, like on one side, the religious side is like, this is satanic, this is evil. And obviously like things like, why are you trying to push these agendas on my children? And there's a huge ban of like Target saying like, we're not shopping at Target. So
I did hear about that.
Yeah. The bigger the brand, the more like you have to be careful about it and like sensibilities and things like that. Obviously, I always try to think about it as like, it's like, a brand, it's kind of like a person. The more you personify your brand, the better you are at it. And if you're just getting to know somebody, like it's going to take you more than 2 or 3 times that you meet them to have an opinion about them, right? Yeah. And then like if you become really good friends and then that person does something shitty to you, then you change your mind about them.
Yeah, very quickly.
It's the exact same thing with a brand. So that's what one of my biggest advice when I get a client, it's like treat your brand as if they were a person that your clients are interacting with.
Wow.
Tell me this, how much do you think that like logos and color schemes really play into the branding side of it?
I think that probably less than what people think.
Yeah.
It's not so much of like what the logo and the colors are, it's about a consistency.
Yeah.
So if you are all the time changing your logo and you're all the time changing your colors, there's no recognition from your audience. And what you want people to do is to be like, okay, I see this logo, I see these colors, I know this is their content.
Yeah.
And so and that only comes with time. So if you keep changing that, then your audience never knows what to expect from you. And so that consolidation of that image that you're trying to portray never happens.
Wow.
And so those colors and that identity and that's why it's so important to have versatility in that whole, like in all your choices of like logos and colors, because people get bored to see the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
It's like uniforms. Like after a year, you started hating them and adapting them to, personality and things like that. So that's why brands need to constantly keep updating those and adding graphics in,
within the brand.
Yeah, that's right.
Within the same brand.
There's a fine line between like practicality and like standing out, right? Because like there's two things that you want to make sure that you're doing in a very saturated marketing. It's something that not a lot of people think about, because I get a lot of clients that, have done ways a certain way for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And like their mentality is like, well, this has worked in the past, so why would it not work in the future?
Right.
The problem is that the tools, the market, the audience keeps changing constantly.
Yeah.
And so if you don't adapt and you don't pivot, then you get like completely lost. And before the internet was here, people would like just go to their local options.
Well, we had less exposure.
That's
too.
right.
Like less exposure to a lot of things, so like a lot of people that had a lot of potential talent really undiscovered too, or information. And I like what you're saying. It's like, when you were saying that, I think one of the biggest things too is like your audience is consistently changing. And so understanding the psychology of like the newer generations is so crucial to how you move forward in your branding, because Gen X definitely doesn't work with Gen Z. Gen X doesn't work with millennials,
Yeah.
And so really like understanding that and how you push forward is crucial in my opinion. So.
Yeah. There's this one thing, and this is an advice that got passed on to me. It's like, if you feel like you know it all, like you have figured it out, you are dated.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what
You're
that
right.
means.
You're right.
Yeah.
But you really are. I saw, so like we send out this like guest form to all of our guests, and like, honestly, like reading yours, I'm like, dude, this is going to be so much fun. Like, I love all of her responses. And I like, this sounds really cheesy, but I was like, she gets me. She understands. And so I was stoked, like, just to talk to you on the phone about like, you serving our business and things like that, but also just like this interview. And I know we're talking about branding, because I do want to give the audience, the listeners, like, some tips and things like that, as far as like your expertise on like how they can kind of push forward, because, there's a lot of people that want to start and they just have awful branding. And one of the things that I've noticed is like, if you don't have that branding together, it feels like you don't have your business together.
Yeah.
And it really just kind of gives that like that full on feeling of like, all right, this is a real legit company. It's like you look at Luma and you're like, man, they got good branding. But you don't walk in and say, man, they got good branding. It's just that like everything that they got going on, from the culture of the shop, the logo design, the consistency with the way their brick and mortar feels, it all aligns very well to feel like, oh, this is a really
It needs
good
some
place.
purpose. I mean, like people feel like it's, oh, they just are really lucky, or they're just, they're just like that. No, like all of these are brand strategy decisions, are like things that we have thought about.
Yeah.
Like I remember meeting with them and doing a little bit of an analysis of like their audience, and pointing out like these are kids that are going to be around you, because your product, your feeling is hip, and you're a little older than them.
Yeah.
So you can always position yourself as like guiding them in some way.
Wow. Okay.
And like they also had like a wake up your dreams thing, which comes from a place of like, okay, people in college, like they're wanting to explore what their future looks like, and what a better way to like go into a coffee shop and feel inspired about their future.
Right.
Yeah.
So like all these little decisions come into play into like, what are the colors are going to be, like what are we going to say in our marketing? Like, what is the language we're going to be using? Like all of that it's catered to an audience, to a niche. And I feel like it's not just like, it's not like it just happens, right? Like there's a lot of thought into it.
Oh
yeah,
of course.
Well, I think it's definitely like considering the audience that you're pursuing, and who's going to be consuming your products, and then just setting that definition of culture. I think that's something that happens a lot too, like in churches as well, as like, as far as like just setting that precedence of the culture and how you want things to be. And a lot of it's like not really super thought about, right? Like you just have this idea and how you want it to feel. But I feel like a lot of that is just super effective on how you move forward on that branding. So I really want to get down to the nitty gritty of like, you starting your business.
Oh, great.
I want to hear the crazy stories. Because I know you got some.
Yeah.
And because like this show really is all about the reality of like what it looks like to run a business and the struggles, because I want people, the viewers, to know that, hey, you're not the only ones that have been in this like tight situation or difficult, or you've had this crazy client, because we all go through that. And I think like really like this gives the opportunity for us to breed a sense of a community, say like, hey, you're not alone. Like this is how we handled it, or just the fact of knowing that like you're not the one with all the bad luck, right? Like that. Yeah. Like seriously, like because it is easy to like when you start a business to feel very alone in it, and it's hard. And I can definitely say like even in my own venture, just like sometimes I just get really down. Like my emotions feel like this. It's like a big roller coaster. It's like when you're high on it, you're like, yes,
I'm on top of the world.
Yeah. And then literally
lower.
Literally it can turn like, oh, this client paused their subscription.
The next day.
Yeah.
Hey, am I doing the right thing? Am I going to make it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like every entrepreneur that I've dealt with. Like it's just so part of the journey itself.
Yeah.
And like that is something that, I wanted to, like, I just had a launch of a video, and that was something that I wanted to remind people, is that the reason why it's so hard is because that journey has not been paved. Right?
Yeah.
Like each step you take, you are creating that path for you. And so, it's going to be hard. Like it's going to come, there's going to be some rocks. You're going to fall because there was a ditch. Like,
Wow.
And the reason why is because you get to shape that path. And how cool is that?
That is good. Yeah. The way you look at that, that's brilliant. I like that.
Well, it's cool because it is true. And especially if you're trying to change the way things have been done, and I think like you being in a creative industry is very, very much so that path, where some people have a little bit more of the same path, like if they're kind of just doing the same thing, it really has a lot to do with like, how are you handling customers and things like that. But like when you're saying like, hey, I don't like what I'm seeing, how, cause if you're starting a business to do the exact same thing everybody else is doing, then what do you have to offer? Now you're fighting the battle with everybody else. So I do say like Luma, for example, they're not the only ones to do, specialty coffee, right? Just like Gnarly Barley isn't the first ones to do craft beer, but they have their own, steps in branding to feel a different way and to serve a different community. And even though it's like they were, Luma says they were like, we were inspired by, these specialty coffee shops out in New Orleans and wanted to have that in their hometown. So it's like they found like the uniqueness where they could. And so now they have something that isn't necessarily in that area, so they have an audience to serve, and so that's really important to consider. And I think like even you, it's like I do feel like a lot of people, one of the things that I'm seeing a lot is like consulting businesses, and I hate that. I'm gonna be honest, that is one of the cringiest things I've ever seen. It's like like in my opinion, start a freaking YouTube channel. Like
I've heard him rant for like an hour.
Oh dude, I will rant out of this world
about
like
consulting agencies.
Like and the thing that's funny, in most consulting agencies that I see locally, like they don't even know how to do their own stuff.
Every time I hear the word just like consulting, it sounds to me like taxes. Don't ask me why, but it just does. I'm like, it sounds old.
It makes me think of therapy. Are you ready for your business therapy session?
It sounds old.
Like I can't exactly tell you why you're paying me to do this, but you're paying me to do this.
Yeah.
Well, what I've noticed with a lot of consulting agencies, what they do is like, just post more. It's what you should be doing. And yeah, you should post more. They probably already know that,
Post more?
Post more, like make more posts and stuff like that. It's like, everybody knows they should post more. That's like the hot topic. I don't need to pay you $1,000 a month for you to tell me that.
Let's think about that, because I feel like is the other side of the coin on that post more advice, right? It's like how sustainable that is. Like, okay, you post more, but to the cost of what? Because you have to or hire somebody, and if you can't afford that, then you have to be a slave of your phone, which is the whole, like, it's the whole point of like when you start your business, you want to have more freedom, but that's not more freedom. And so I am all about like creating the strategy that best serves you and your life rather than like you being a slave of your own business, because we didn't drop corporate workforce to work for ourselves more hours than we did before. Right? Like nobody went into business and has started this whole thing with the goal to, I'm going to work like midnights, weekends.
Well, I mean, look, I will say
12 hours a day until I'm 70.
I think the end goal is obviously freedom, but freedom shouldn't, in my opinion, be misunderstood with less time. You can build a business like that, but like, as far as like how my lifestyle goes, and a lot of the entrepreneurs that I know, and I know a lot of them, is like when you first start, it is a grind, and you're working like it's a lifestyle. It's not like a startup, but the end goal is like, yeah, you have to grind out that work, but then you build up a system to where other people can do it for you, and then you reap the rewards. The creepy door is opening. Would you mind shutting that?
Pause that real quick.
No. Oh, we're keeping it in, baby. This is the reality. We have ghosts coming in. They're just opening the door. They heard Ale was coming, so they're like, we got to meet her. It's like, she can't see you. No, but like, you know, and I guess it depends on what you're doing, right? Like, you know, because like some people like, because you worked at Hobby Lobby before, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and you worked.
I have mixed opinions about what you said, though, like the grind, right? I feel like how you define that grind, it's hard because I'm a mom, right? And like there's so many things I don't want to miss about my kid, right? And like one of the reasons why I went into entrepreneurship is so I wouldn't miss them. So when you are like in your computer, like working late or working extra hours, then you started wondering like, wouldn't it have been best to just stay in corporate and leave at 5 and get be done?
5 o'clock,
so I could like actually enjoy my kid. And so I feel like the cost of like not grinding so hard at the beginning is that it comes at a slower pace. You have to be more patient, and you have to have a good support. Like I have my husband that, you know, I can support, like be supported by, and not have to worry about bringing, you know, the income I wish I did.
Right. Well, what I'm saying too is that like, okay, like, it's like, it's when I say a lifestyle, I mean, it's like, yeah, it doesn't end. I'm always thinking about work.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it's also a passion of mine too. Yeah. I love talking work. Like this podcast is a great source for me to like nerd out on like business and learn from people. But the thing is like, I do have flexibility, right? Like my son's in basketball, so I want to go see his game. Okay, well, I'll just work this time instead of this time. So there is a lot of freedom in that. And I got 4 kids, you know, so like I got a lot going on. I want to be there for them. When you're working, you know, when I was pastoring, it's like, oh no, well, we got this event tonight, you got to be there, or we're doing what do you call it, like kids camp or something, and I'm gone for like a week, and so there wasn't really any freedom in that. And I'm not saying that they weren't, you know, they were definitely gracious whenever I had different situations going on, but and I did love that too. The ghosts are coming back. They just want to say hi. Hey, I know y'all can't see this on screen, but the door beside just opened again.
Should we put like a chair or something?
I don't know. I kind of like the mystery. It's like bringing on, you know, like maybe it's freaking us out a little bit. I don't know. Like,
next.
No, it's.
Are you getting worried, Holly?
I'm not freaked out. Are you guys freaked out?
No, I'm fine. I don't care. So I just think it's hilarious because it's like she gets up to shut the door and she sits down and goes like open it back up. But yeah, like the freedom of flexibility, but that the work life never shuts off. But I do think that it should be really important. And one of the things that I've learned, because I freelanced before and I drove myself crazy because I didn't stop working. I literally had one client, because especially in like the video industry, you have deadlines, and those deadlines have to be done. And I'm sure you probably have that situation too. And I was such a yes man before that, like,
not to be.
They like, especially on that local level, they don't have expectations, and I didn't know how to lead those expectations with clients. And so they're like, "Hey, can we get this like very elaborate video done in like 3 days?" And I'm like,
"Sure can."
I'm like, yeah, we'll see. And so like I'm not wanting to say, "Hey, you're being completely unrealistic, and this is something that should be done in like a month." And
that's your learning curve. I mean, everybody goes, like I've gone through that too. Like, and I feel like as creatives, we tend to be people pleasers sometimes.
Yeah, very much.
And so we want to make sure that we're helping and we're doing it very creatively, because no matter like the scope, or no matter in the project, you want to pour everything into it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And
you want to
so-
give it your 100%.
Well, it's your art.
Yeah,
It's your art.
It's what
This is an expression of me.
That's right.
You know, obviously it's for a client, but dude, that one job, I literally like it's crazy because I didn't sleep for 3 days. And when I say, I'm not exaggerating, like that's how much it made a difference in my life, that I was just like, I have to do that. And I was making pennies. Like, because I was like trying to like just get work, and I was so desperate for it. And I've learned that like, if I'm just straightforward and like, yeah, this is what it is. I've learned how to be better at communicating like, hey, this is your price. This is what it is. This is what you're going to get. And just saying no. It's like, it's crazy how much more respect you get out of your clients.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because you're also setting those expectations. Before, I didn't know how to set those expectations.
Yeah.
And guess who suffers from that? This guy.
Yeah. Well, okay. So when you I went to art school, and the one thing that they don't teach you how to do is business.
Yeah.
Right? They teach you how to make your art. They teach you how to be really good at your art. But they don't really teach you any business side of the school. And so there's a lot of things when you start a business, especially as a creative, that you need to learn as you go.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you learn it like the bad way. And those are the better lessons because you don't forget them.
They stick better.
Yeah.
And so like something that I worked a lot with creatives, like photographers and just creative people.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they I've noticed they have as a pattern have a really hard time with is systems and processes.
Yeah. Yes.
Because they tend to think that systems kind of control their creativity somehow.
Yeah.
Well, what it does is it protects you from this specific issue.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when my biggest pivot as a business owner was that it was creating those processes and systems.
Yeah.
And you would be surprised how when I get into a client call and they see that I have a back end process, that I'm not just like a creative that sends you an email and showcases your logo on that thing. They're like, oh, she's got her crap together.
She's legit.
Yeah. Because there's like a process. Like I have made it so I know exactly how long it takes me to do each thing.
Yeah.
And that is supported by my costs. Like how can I charge somebody what is valuable, what I think it's valuable, if I don't know how long it takes me to make?
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're just like messing around and you don't have a consistent process, then your prices are all over the place, right?
Yeah. No, I agree. And that's one thing that I've learned too, is like I worked for another production company, and I was like telling them, because I had already had a bunch of experience at this point, and I'm like, I'm not saying you charge them by the hour, but you need to know how many hours it takes to do this project so you're not getting screwed.
That's right.
Because they're just like,
it's your cost.
They were just throwing out numbers. And it's like, your time is your most valuable asset. And if you're not pricing based off of that time, then you're not pricing right,
That's right.
So yeah, 100% agree. I have a question for you. This is, have you ever had anybody come to you and say, I will try to do like a trade for exposure?
No. Never for exposure. No.
Okay.
I've had somebody done like a trade. And depending on like they've tried to do the trade on something I don't need. So then it's like, but I've done trades.
Well, I mean, like somebody's like trying to get you to do free work for them, and like the exposure will be great.
Oh, no.
They're like, well, you're not anything right now anyways. Like, that's why you're coming to me to help you.
Yeah. No, I've never gotten that before. But in terms of exposure, I have gotten somebody that came to me that had lots of exposure and when having issues making money. So, just because you see somebody has a ton of followers on Instagram, that's not mean that's a profitable business.
Right.
There's so many businesses out there that have 300 followers and they're making like, 100,000 a year.
Oh, yeah.
So like, I do feel like that is a vanity metric that a lot of people go by. I've gotten so many clients that come to me with tons of followers, but that they can't really make a profit out of that. It's like I have all these people, but
if you want to talk about the vanity metrics and that, like, and look, we're just going to clear this up. This isn't really a branding thing, but it is definitely a marketing thing where it's so misconstrued. Like, and I hate it. Like we got people that are like, they have like 20-something thousand followers on Instagram, and everybody in the local community look up to this person and they're like, oh my God, they're like a marketing mastermind. And it's like, yeah, but they're not getting any engagement on their content. Like my clients that are like, you know, a couple hundred or a couple of thousand followers are getting like the same amount of like views as somebody with 26. So, yeah, and they're calling this guy like he's literally teaching marketing on social media. And I'm like, you're way underperforming. Like that's a bad sign. So if you see somebody that is like trying to talk about how good they are, because like think about it, like when somebody follows you on social media, whether it's YouTube or Instagram, TikTok, whatever, that doesn't mean they're going to watch your content. That's the whole point of a follower anyways, is to watch your content. And I know like YouTube, you know, there's actually several strategies on YouTube to where it's like you can actually set a video to go out to your followers, like your subscribers. But if you like create something that's like, oh, well, that's not really in my niche, I'm trying something different, you can actually go around that. Because if your followers, like if you set it to your followers and your followers don't watch it or they don't respond well to it, that's going to hurt your algorithm. And the algorithm is going to say, hey, people didn't like this, so we're not going to push it out to other people.
And organic reach is based on engagement. It's not, it's not based on like eyes. Yeah.
Well, every platform's really turning to watch time. Yeah. Most importantly, like likes and comments and all that stuff really is relevant still. It's very important. Shares are very good too. But watch time, because all these sites are wanting to, like even TikTok has changed to that. That's why they're going with like a longer form on their website, is so that they can get more ads in there. So the more people are watching your content, the more those platforms promote it, because that's how they make money, because they can go, hey, we can put more ads on this, you know? So watch time is really relevant. Followers or not. Like for YouTube, if you hit that 1,000 mark, don't care about any more followers, because that's the only thing you need for monetization.
Yeah. And I do feel like there's this trend of moving more like, in person, a more local, localized marketing. Cause I do feel like it's so crowded right now with social media, and YouTube is so hard to stand out. Yeah. And so people are kind of going back to like older practices of like, let's do a community meeting. Let's do an
personal relations.
Yeah.
Personal relations, because, which I love.
Yeah, me too. Like, I feel like nobody knows really who they are on social media. It's really hard to get that relationship going unless you're like going out and like showing, vulnerability or part of your space or whatever it is that you do. It's hard to get that relationship.
Well, I think the biggest issue with that is that a lot of people aren't even approaching it from a relationship perspective. They're just they're being product pushers and they're trying to sell. And right now, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's kind of a trend of like views going down across the board on all social media content sites, which is, look, it's actually a good opportunity to be posting more, because you're kind of building foundation while everybody's away, because they're coming back. They're always going to come back. We don't know when, but like you will get those people. But you got like TikTok pushing ads like crazy, TikTok shop going like crazy. And then you got the NPCs doing the like, send me your money or whatever, and like doing weird stuff. And so people are tired of that. So they're like off of it. A lot of like big YouTubers are cutting out because they're burnt out, right? They've been doing this for a long time, and that's just normal. People like, they go up on the platform, they explode, they do good. They've been doing it for years, and then they step down. And so their viewers are less likely to get on because their favorite person's not on anymore. But this is a great opportunity to actually connect. And obviously, like I'm a big believer in video content. Is it saturated? Well, the world's saturated, right? Like there's a million places to go eat, but why do you go eat at this one place? It could be convenience, could be the price, it could be how good the food is, right? Which is always a good component, because if your food is bad, then people probably not going to go eat at it. But you have all these things to really figure out. But I agree, like personal relations, I think we're going to see a big trend of that personal relations and video content coming together, right? And that's really important, in my opinion, because social media is such a great way to reach even a local audience, right? And so it's because marketing isn't just one thing. Like we do content creation, but you can't just have content creation. Yeah. You have to have so many other sources. And I agree, like man, do an event, have fun with your people.
Well, something I tell my clients all the time is like, imagine that there's no more Instagram tomorrow. What happens to your business? Are you covered for that? Like, do you have a website? Because I have a lot of clients that don't even have a website. They just have an Instagram and they have a ton of following. And I'm like, you are like putting all this content, putting all this work on this one platform
that could go away.
Or what if they start charging?
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's
kind of
what COVID did in a different.
I'm not staying on Instagram if they charge for it. Like,
yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, you could lose, those followers are not yours.
Yep.
Like, I'm sorry, they're not.
Right.
Unless you have nurtured them into email and you have their email addresses, or they have gone to your website, or you have made a connection relationship wise. Mm-hmm. They're really not yours to have. You know what I mean?
Well, Instagram can change that in a day if they change rules, regulations. Like, oh, sorry, you got to have this, or now you have to be verified to do this. Yeah. And COVID showed that on the opposite spectrum, but that's probably why so many businesses have jumped more on the social media train, because it's the only option they had at the time.
Yeah.
But it can always be reversed. AI might take over the world, and it's like internet's not safe anymore.
Yeah.
Handwritten letters.
Yeah, it's definitely like, you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket, right? Like,
absolutely.
In everything that you do, and doing that is just plain dumb.
Yeah. And look, I sell video content, and I agree. Like you can't put it all into one thing. Like, if you're going hard, go hard on social media, but also go hard on your events, go hard on like your email marketing and all that stuff.
And like, video is not just applied to social media, right? Like, I mean, you can have an event and have like a video background thing. Yep. You could have your video on your website.
Yes.
Like, I mean, there's so many applications. Like, video is just a medium. Like any blogs and articles, like your graphics are just not meant to live on your Instagram. Like, it could be a merchandising item. So there's so many things that we have, because of what we know already, kind of stuck them in this like category of like, these are the way they're supposed to be used.
That's right.
And so I feel like there's a lot to explore there.
Yeah. I actually want to know, because I mentioned AI, like, what are your thoughts on AI?
Interesting.
We're going to dive into some weird stuff.
I feel
today.
like it's inevitable. It's definitely inevitable. I don't think that it's in our hands to stop it. So I definitely think it will take a lot of jobs, but it's going to take jobs that we don't want to do anyway. Exactly. So I feel like
I don't see why people are afraid of it.
Well, I see why people are afraid of it.
I'm afraid of it too. And it's not the job part. It's to take it over the world.
Me too. What I got afraid of was when I discovered that like ChatGPT was not, like, I always thought that when you went into ChatGPT, it was like looking at other sources and kind of comparing, but it's actually a language thing. And so that really freaked me out because I was like, this is a thinking.
It's a machine, yes.
Well, that's what AI is.
Yeah, I know. But I just thought AI was like compilating things, and like doing, because there was a lot of like copywriting issues and things that kind of came up out of there. So that made sense to me to think, okay, it's pulling from other sources, but it's actually thinking.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's utilizing all the people that are on it too, and the things that they're saying or asking questions for, that it's, I mean, if they're not doing that, then that's a bad decision. But, taking everything that I ask it or you ask it and all the millions and millions of other people doing it to consider for its next question too,
But it studies it though.
It does.
So like in a way where he learns from it, because he can do art, he can do poems. So how is that happening? And that's what the scary part of it. But I do use it. I feel like it's really good for like.
It's a really good assistant tool.
Yes. Like it is. I mean, like it can come up with brainstorming ideas for so many things.
I think the brainstorming is really the good point, because we utilize AI for like helping us with topics, but let me tell you, it really sucks at coming up with topics. And we have to do our own research to like figure out like what's going to be some of the best topics for it. But it is good for like sparking ideas or even getting some facts, because it's pulling from a lot of resources. And in a way, it's almost like utilizing Google, but getting really specific about it.
Really efficient.
I love it because, English is my second language. So like every time I write an article, I like go and I say, this is the prompt I use. Everybody that wants to use it this way is like, proof this caption without like changing as little as possible and changing mainly grammar. And so it would, send me back something that it's better, a little more polished maybe. And then I can go back and be like, this sounds like a dictionary. I'm not doing that. And then take out the things that I don't like. But at least I will know what's the correct way of saying what I'm trying to say when my head is like so full of thoughts and I'm just like word vomiting on an article. Like I want to make sure it has some sort of structure, and that helps a lot with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like it's like any other tool, right? Like you have to learn how to use it. Otherwise you're going to be behind.
Well, no, a lot of people are trying to say that like, okay, it's going to take away all these jobs and you're going to start getting these jobs of like prompt writing, like people that are good at honestly, I don't think that's true either, because
the press took a lot of jobs.
I mean, I think AI is going to be so good that you're not going to need people with prompts, right? Like you're not going to need all this like it's not, because at that point it's like just that's where we're at now.
Yeah, but the editing part like will definitely still be needed. I mean, I've played with it so much. I know it has so many. I mean, it's good, but it's not that good, right?
And honestly, here goes my thoughts, because because I'm an artist. I'm an artist with video. You're an artist. You're an artist with branding. And anyone who does like any kind of visual art in any way or music and things like that, it's like, do you really want to consume stuff that hasn't been done by humans? Because it's the part that it's like someone who is, able to fail at something, someone who's able to be vulnerable or connect with them in that way. It's like that's art. Like I don't like, I'm not going to connect with
the emotion
computer
gives
right.
It,
well, like if you think about art too, it comes from a place of perspective, right? Yeah. So it's like your experiences and how you see the world is that shapes that art that you're building. Well, AI doesn't have experience on its own. So how is that art shaping that makes you feel something?
Right. Well, it's like it would feel like a lie.
Yeah.
It would feel like I was telling my buddy, he's in the movie industry, and I'm like, if AI were to create a really engaging movie, I still don't want to watch it because it wasn't done by a human. Like, and that's not like, that doesn't mean like I'm completely anti-AI, but like when it comes to art, it's like that, like I want to connect with people's art. I want to say like, man, that director was really good. That writer, man, really shook me. And to me, it's like, you're stealing from all these other artists and putting it together. And I know a lot of businesses are using it. Like I said, I use it for certain things. And you could even argue like, well, you would have had to hire an assistant, for that job that it helps you out with. And it's like, yeah, I get those arguments, and that's fine. Like I said, everybody's going to create tools, and essentially it's almost the same thing as AI, but what boundary is too far? When is AI going to start like creating people's branding? When is it going to start saying like, hey, this is good, and can it work for a moment? Sure, but it's like, I want to live in a world full of humans. And it's funny because it's like we have all these movies like I, Robot, The Matrix,
right?
Like you've been telling us the whole time.
It's scary,
dude. No, but seriously, it's like
I tell my AI please and thank you every time I use it.
Me too. I just heard somebody say that.
Obviously, right this.
I heard Chris Doe talk about this on a YouTube video, and he said, I say pleasant thank you because the moment that start taking it, at least I was nice to it.
That's like, he's gonna remember me.
Here goes the thing, bro. It doesn't have emotion.
Yeah.
It doesn't have emotion to be like, you were nice to me. It's not like that movie what's that cartoon it's not a cartoon, it was a CG movie that Netflix came out with, and it was kind of like joking where the guy like has a smartphone. He's like, I don't need you anymore. And the AI is like, you were mean to me, like.
Wait, is this like a kid's movie? I feel like I've seen it.
Yeah. The main character, the little girl, was like.
Video girl. Yeah, I've seen it.
I can't remember the name. It was a good movie. I really liked it.
Me too.
But yeah, like it's funny because they're talking about like AI taking over and all this stuff, and it's like, well, I don't think AI. I mean, yeah, it's simulated, it's artificial emotion, and it can definitely do it. It's not real, but you're even seeing like trends. Like Disney came out with a movie recently called The Creator, and I watched it mainly because they did it with like I don't know, I can't remember if it was like a Sony FX7 or something like that. It's like a small DSLR camera, and it's an amazing quality. And the movie had it wasn't like amazing, but it was cool to see what they did with that camera. And it's just a testament of how far cameras have come. But getting to the point, like it was all about like AI being a good guy. And like, you know, they had this concept of, you know, like, humans being the barbaric and AI was just this community. And like, and then they painted the story of like this little kid being this new AI creation and oh, how sweet and all this stuff. And like, I'd look over at my wife at the end. I was like, yeah, screw all the humans that died in there. Poor AI. You know, like it was. And the thing is, so I watched a video where they were talking about like how, Disney wants to change. Like this is literally like propaganda stuff, right? Like Disney wants you to be more on the side of AI. And those are things that I really like, man, this topic totally changed, but but it is really relevant to, I think, even branding, because it's all about psychology, right? Like it all has to do with psychology and where a world's going today. But dude, that like they want you to be okay with this, right? And so like, what are they doing under our eyes, and how is our world going to be taken over? So like, let's
well, I feel like there's a lot of change right now happening and especially in the US. Like, I mean, we can dive deep into here, but like a lot is happening. There's a lot of change coming, and I feel like the best thing we can do as entrepreneurs is learn how to pivot. I mean, understand that if there's a problem that can be solved, you can have a business. And so that's something that I feel like a machine can recreate, because it takes so long to like, you know,
learn
to adapt.
that.
But like humans, like we see the white space, right? We see the things that are not being like served. And I feel like we are able to use that as our own advantage. And, you know, I mean, things are going to change all the time. Like that's press happened years ago, Industrial Revolution. Those things changed the world that we lived in, how we see it. And that is happening again. And I feel like, you know, you just gotta be observant.
But it's not people.
But let's be observant of it. At a point, and like, you know, because I don't want to.
I think we have more control. Like, here goes the thing. I think we have more control as people, and it's like, what are we willing to fight for? We need to be able to make that decision as like a community of a world or a nation, to say like, hey, that's too far.
There need to be regulations.
You know? Like there need to be regulations, and instead of us just being like, oh, well, I mean, what are you going to do about it? Well, there's a lot you can do about it. You ever heard of Civil War? I'm not saying we should go to Civil War. Good Lord. Unless iRobot happens with the Matrix, totally different. Destroy the AI. But no, like really, like there is a place that we have way more control than I think we.
I mean, we created it. We can shut it down.
Absolutely. But at the same time, it's like, I do think we should utilize certain aspects of it. Just like you said, things are always going to change, always going to pivot. And that kind of leads me to my next conversation. It's like, you know, you were talking about like social media, websites and things like that. What about you know, like Horizon, like, or the virtual world that, you know, Meta is trying to push, Mark Zuckerberg and all that stuff. Like what happens whenever businesses really kind of go online like that, or changes?
I have no idea. I mean, that's going to be a new territory for all of us. And I feel like if somebody comes out and tells you, oh, I know what's going to happen, I have it all figured out, it's a scam. Run the other way. We're all learning as we go, and this is so new for all of us. Like nobody's an expert.
It's a new frontier, essentially.
I hate how like Threads came out, and then there was already people talking about being the experts of Threads. I'm like, it just came out
like last week.
Let me show you how to get to 1 million followers in one day.
Easy. Step one: be the first person on the platform.
All about this. I'm like, how do you know? Like these things keep evolving all the time. And like,
well, I think that's what's keeping people off of social media, because it's like we're tired of this faux like expertise and all this stuff. It's like
everybody's an expert now, essentially.
Yeah, well, you know, that's what ends up happening. Like I've seen some consulting agents, like they built their following off of this like faux idea that they're great, right? And they do all these conventions and things like this, and it's like, you still suck. Like if you look at all their other platforms, and I'm not trying to like really like, I don't want to expose this person because like, hey, whatever, good on you. But like, I can't stand it when I feel like people are being lied to. And it's part of the reason why I don't like consulting agencies, because anybody can say that. Sam could be like, hey, we're a consulting agency. And I saw a video yesterday pop up, because obviously I do video stuff, like, and so I get all these ads like trying to advertise me on like, here's your monthly subscription to editing and like all this stuff. And it's like, I'll send it to like our team and be like, look how ridiculous this is. They're like, hey, if you make under $10,000 a month in revenue, don't even bother with us. Is pretty much like the concept.
I'm over push marketing too. And I feel like people think that's the only way. Which sucks. No, I mean, there's so many other people that talk about, like, there's a group of people that talk about permission marketing. Have you heard of that before? Seth Godin talks about it, and it's this idea that the audience is sick of push marketing, and you assuming that you can sell your stuff to everybody, even if they need it or not. I mean, the whole point of being in business is to serve somebody. If they don't need your product, move on. Move on, right? Like, you don't need to be selling to everybody.
That's why when we do content creation, I tell every client, I said, the only thing we do is value marketing. There's no other reason for you to be on social media. If you're not giving value to them for free, because that value brings trust.
Besides, they're giving you their time, right? Like, you're awarding the time. And if they're there to listen to you, you better give them something good to listen to. Like, that's the whole point.
An investment.
Yeah, that's right.
It's very important. And the thing is, like, like what we even bank our business off of is like, hey, we'll teach you how to do what we do, but it's a lot of work. That's what you pay us for. Like, we're going to do a good job because we know what we're doing. We're experts at it. And some people, even though our price point is super low, some people still can't afford that, right? Like, people that, like, when I started my business, I couldn't afford me, even at the low price, right? And so it's like, okay, well, let's help that person get off the ground, because I know if I can help them, by teaching them exactly what we do, like, there's full transparency on that. Teach them exactly what we do so that they can make some money. And once they start earning that money, we've already built up their trust by showing them how to do it. Now they have money that they can spend on us, and we can help take that off their shoulders. So they're not, because it is more of a grind whenever you do that. Like, if you're like, cause you do branding, and it's like, you're focused on your clients, but you have to do your own stuff too. You have to put out social media content. It's another workload, and that's where you leverage things out, right? Like, if you don't want to keep grinding in your business, you want to build your business, right?
Well, you want to like communicate value, like the best you got. Like, there's no gatekeeping here, because the whole point of giving a stuff is so that is valuable. So you have to give your best stuff. And I feel like in that discovery, people can learn from it, or they can learn that they're not able to do that. And those are your clients, when they're like, oh my God, this girl knows so much, I'm going to try and do it. Well, halfway through, when they start doing it, DIY or whatever, they're going to realize this is not supposed to look like this. And that's when the person realizes, like, I need to outsource this. And by that moment, maybe that DIY or that little bit of value that you gave helped them somehow to get to that point. And so I feel like a lot of people think that they need to like keep their secret sauce, hidden. That's so dumb.
No. And look, it's one thing if you have a product, share the Krabby Patty recipe. That's really different. Don't give away your secret recipe. But when it comes to like a service industry or like we worked with the Replay at one point, and it's like, dude, teach people how to clean their shoes at their house. Because it's upkeep, and you're showing like you're for them, not against them. Right? Like you want to help them out. But when it comes to like the type of work that you actually are going to do, because if they have a couple of scuffs on their sole, they're probably not going to come to you because it doesn't feel big enough to like go justify them to get their shoes clean. I mean, some might, right? But like you could take a magic eraser with a little bit of water and like clean those off and they look good, right? But, the Replay really specializes in like, they make them shoes look brand new. It really is a great service. Like, I'm like, okay, because I'm cheap as heck. I shop at like Walmart and stuff like that, and I will keep those clothes for years, and so like I have shoes from like 15 years ago. And I actually want to I'm going to bring those shoes too over to the replay. And because I don't want to buy a new pair of shoes. I already like these. I want to keep
They're worn in already. Yeah.
and they really do a good job of cleaning them. So that value builds up that trust. It's huge. And statistics have shown that influencers are definitely a higher sought out person that they'd rather be influenced to buy from versus even celebrities now. Why? Because influencing has been a personal connection, and that's what's so important. But it's become distorted because everybody's like, oh my God, this is the train to jump on. And so when anytime something gets big, you get all these people in it and they do push marketing, right? Buy my stuff. You're an idiot if you don't. This is the way to do it. And it's it's dogmatic. Really is how it is. This is the only way. And it's always
never trust anybody that tells you this is the only way. In business, there's so many ways to get there.
Exactly.
And especially when you're giving advice to somebody on this one way, what the people that are guiding this person is they base it on their own experience, but they don't realize that other person they're guiding, consulting, coaching, whatever, they're not that person.
No,
you can't just use a recipe.
Totally different circumstance.
Yeah, and maybe different timing. Maybe you had your sex 5 years ago when social media was not as saturated as now, and you're coaching somebody that is leaving with the market right now. So it's how do you know that that's going to work for them?
Yeah.
And that messes with me up. The whole coaching industry.
Oh, yeah.
That's consulting pretty.
Yeah, life coach.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, we were talking about life coaches and stuff too. It's a joke in my opinion. It's don't get me wrong. I think everybody should have mentors, not one, but mentors. That means people that have gone through it, that can help guide you and teach you on your path, to inspire you, to give you wisdom, not a step-by-step program. Now they can tell you what they did step by step, but it may not relate completely. But it's I was talking to Sam the other day, and it's you need information to consume so that you can make a better decision. Because it's still, in the end, it's still your decision. It's not their fault if you fell. It's your fault.
Yeah.
Even if they've given you bad advice. And look, every wise person probably has done something wrong too. We all make mistakes, but when somebody has that experience, you have that information to utilize. And so, but it's still your responsibility.
It pretty much is like a brainstorming buddy.
Yeah.
That's what it is, right? That's the best way that I would see coaching is let's figure this out together.
Yeah.
But there's no recipe of oh yeah, you do that or you do that.
Follow steps 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you're going to equal success.
It's hard.
And look, I get where it came from, because it's you have the saying of you are who you hang out with. You want to be a millionaire, hang out with millionaires. And I do get that concept. I do agree with that concept. If you want to be successful, it is good to surround yourself around people with similar goals or have achieved those goals, right? And so because it's not so much of they're step by step, because they went through the same things you went through. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I'm learning. It's because I know quite a few millionaires, and it's they're still figuring things out. They were in that same situation of man, it was messy and we didn't really know what was going on. But then you got all these supposed Facebook gurus or TikTok gurus that are I'm going to show you how to make $1 billion in 30 seconds. Countdown now.
10,000 followers in a month.
and it's funny. It's okay, so my wife was telling me about these events that they had for the business that she works for. And they would get these influencers to show up and give advice, this 25-year-old who's a multimillionaire, right? Come to find out, his profit and losses were really bad. So he might have had a lot of income, but he was in major debt and he was failing. And so they're okay, for you to be able to speak on these stages, because they were given a lot of bad advice, right? And so now they have this requirement that we have to see your profit and losses before you can ever speak on this stage, to see that you're actually legit.
That's crucial.
And that's why it's one of our clients, he does a podcast, and I always tell him this. I'm dude, you really are offering something that you don't see. It's grounded, real information. And that's what this generation needs.
Yeah. It's something that I go by, it's don't do what you don't want somebody to do to you in business.
Yeah.
So we all get awkward when people sell to us. Like it's annoying.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know, when
Instantly,
somebody's selling to you.
Like,
so why would you do that to somebody else?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, I mean, there's ways to be like, I'm not telling you don't be discoverable. I'm not telling you don't invest in SEO. Like, be there for the people that really need you, but like, stop pretending or pushing people to buy your stuff.
Yeah.
Like, not everybody needs it.
No, it's like I'm
you're
here
not
if
for
you need it.
everyone. And businesses and brands do that all the time. They are like, okay, so who is this targeted to? Oh, everyone.
Yep.
Okay.
What's that?
No, yeah, that's right. Like, you can speak to everybody. You can not everybody's gonna like you, and that is okay.
Yeah.
That's why the market has so many, you know, options
Different
for you
options,
to like pick whatever is best for you. And this idea that, we're the best at this, so subjective.
Yep.
Nobody can be the best at anything, because best is defined by like what the audience thinks
Perception,
is best.
exactly.
You're right.
Cheap, the best is going to be the cheapest option.
Exactly.
If you value quality, the best is going to be the best quality. So like, what is really best? And so,
which is really good with what you're saying, because it's like, you know, sometimes people don't want that. They just need to have a certain need for a specific time, and they might just need the most affordable option.
yeah.
And I feel like what you're saying too is like really the entirety of it is like lack of transparency.
Yeah.
I feel like, and this really was a very big Generation X thing, right? Where that's where I think a lot of the push marketing really came into play. It's like, listen to what I'm saying, because it's the only right thing. And obviously that rubs our generation very much the wrong way. Yep. But you know, like I've even had situations where it's like, I'll tell somebody when I'm trying to sell them, I'm like, look, I'm trying to sell you right now. Like, this is what I believe. And I feel like even that transparency, I don't always do that, but sometimes that transparency just gets them to be like, okay, at least he's being honest about what he's doing.
Yeah.
Hiding it.
You can always ask, are you interested on this? Is that something that you would like to talk about? Like, let's jump on a call. Like, ask. It's not that big of a deal.
It's not that hard. Yeah. 'Cause either way, you're going to get a no or a yes. So,
and if somebody tells you it's not a good moment for me, like, no, just be like, okay, cool.
I'm here if you change your mind.
Done with it.
Really, like, and you need to be okay with it not being their time, or even if they're offended by you or whatever, it's like, all right, move on. Like, people react in so many different ways, and it's like, it's easy to get like, especially in sales, right? Like, it's easy to have that rejection feeling and get down about it. It's like,
Don't take it personally.
it can't be. It can't
a
be,
lot of
even
the
if
times,
they make it that way.
Actually, most of the times, it's not about the product or the service not being right. It's about a timing thing.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. Like, you go to Target, and there's something really cute you want, but at that specific moment, you maybe don't have the budget.
Yeah.
You don't have the time to buy it.
Yeah.
And you just walk out. And that doesn't mean that the product wasn't good or that you don't want it. It just means that it wasn't a good timing for that person. And I feel like as entrepreneurs and business people, we have to like respect that, right? Like, it's a matter of like,
well, you're given the opportunity. If you make it a bad situation, or you get upset, or you act awkward, if you're doing like cold calls or something, and people can see that, they're definitely not going to call you back.
Don't do cold calls. Don't do that. Don't do that. Period.
Okay, why? Why don't do cold calls?
First of all, because you're making an assumption. Okay. Of like you're reaching somebody assuming that they need something that you have, and assuming that they value what you have to offer.
Well, that's not cold calls. That's the approach of some people's cold calls.
That's a cold call.
We talk about this all the time about doing cold calls, and I'm like, you know, I tell them, I said, don't push for the sell. Push for a meeting,
for learning.
You say like, hey, look, we're looking at businesses in the local area. We do research before we call. It's like, hey, look, we're really interested in your business. We'd love to set up a meeting, if that's okay with you, to talk more about maybe how our services can help each other, and just about making. And that is a cold call, but it's not a cold sales call. It's about getting that conversation started. So I think it's about the intention.
Yeah, but I'm gonna like push you back on this.
Push it back.
Because I do feel like
this is my favorite kind of stuff.
Okay, there's like a whole like, you have an awareness area, right? Like in your social media value you put out. If somebody is seeing on your content constant, you know that they're kind of on the awareness space.
The radar,
And then you kind of go down into like a warm lead, right? Somebody that maybe has shown some interest, that you feel like you could be a good fit. They're friends of friends, that you've heard of them. And so then, and then there's a point of conversion, right? Yeah. If you just kind of jump all the way to like, as with a cold lead, to awareness, like they don't even know who you are. What would they want to meet with you? That's true. Right? Yeah. Like you want to make sure that you say something, for example, as a call, this will be another, but like think about like value first, right? Like, hey, I noticed you're doing this. I really think it's really cool, what you're doing. I would love to have a meeting with you and learn more about what you do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I feel like maybe we could be beneficial in the future. Maybe I can refer to somebody. Yeah. Completely different than if you say, hey, let's meet for coffee. I want to sell to you. Right? Yeah. Like you don't know if I need it. You don't know if I hire somebody already to do what you are offering me.
Well, I didn't say anything about sales. It's about like getting to know the businesses,
gathering information.
Because it's more of a network.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't say that's cold sales though.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like it's more like it's not it's still a cold call because I don't know you. Yeah. And so like I'm trying to start the conversation to connect our businesses or not necessarily connect our businesses for work, but it's like take Gnarly Barley, for instance. Like if they never even become a client of ours, that's okay. Like I want to support them. I want to know them. I want to know like more about them.
But leading with value though, like I know you're also like interested about them. So it comes from a place of service rather than a place of, I want to push you something.
100%. 100%. Well, I think that's the new way that people need to be doing business is that community mindset of like really driving forward and saying like, the way we approach things too, like we do kind of like an annual thing. I mean, we're only a year old, so we're about to do it again. But we just grab our camera and we go out on the streets and we're like, "Hey, we love your business. We love what you're doing." Or even one like we're like, "Hey, can we like we didn't even know this place existed. This is really cool.
Can we check it out?
Shoot a video for you guys. We're just gonna give it to you like free of charge. Like we don't have to put our name on it or anything. But we would appreciate if you collabed with us, and that's a way to like serve people in our industry and really show support by helping people that maybe they couldn't afford it, but it also gives them interest of like, okay, yeah, they're seeing what we're doing. They could see our work and connect it. And if they don't decide to do it, well, I mean, if they posted it, then cool. Like we got more influence now.
Yeah. But there's still you leaving the space for them to make a decision.
Oh, 100%. Right? We're not pushy at all. I even tell my sales guys that you never try to upsell.
Yeah. That's one of the things I have such a hard time is hiring somebody to do sales for me because it's such a personal thing.
It really is.
I feel like you really can screw up your brand so badly if the person that is doing the sales does not share the same values that you do, or they're like used to an older kind of tactic of sales. Like sales on its own is its own beast, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, that's sales and marketing are not the same thing. And sales is a lot about learning people, like, and coming from a place of serving and like with humility, right? Like you don't want to assume that you know more than they do. You don't want to assume that what they have is not right. Like there's so many, because they could have worked really hard for that they have.
And you're going to offend them.
It's their baby. Yeah. It's their baby. Yeah. And they want to know that if they're going to put their baby in your arms, that you're not going to drop it.
That's right.
And it is really important. And I think one of the biggest issues that people have, because I don't like the idea of cold calls like we talked about. I don't like the idea of like just trying to push, which is why we've really tried to lead within this place of just like, hey, I want people to just like hear about us, and we have this concept about like being the best kept secret, to where we just like, hey, we want to support, and we have a mission over just making money, and we believe that if we can really accomplish this mission by supporting the small businesses that I feel like are very left behind in this industry, because like I was telling you before, like I get all these like ads pop up on Instagram where it's like it's obviously like promoted ads that these companies are doing. And I've had like a couple of them already where it's like you get this box of questions like how much you make and all this stuff, and then one of them's like, don't fill out the form because you don't make enough money, essentially is what it was. That one was
we talked about that one for a hot minute.
Okay. So why
essentially said if you don't have $3,000 plus to spend, don't give us a call.
Yeah, like don't waste your time.
And
it's like, okay, so like if my business is really small, the reality is that like, yeah, that's a pretty normal price in the industry. But you still just turned me off because it's like, I just felt so unwelcomed. There was nothing to like help me or guide me. It just felt like, oh, I can't join the cool kids club now. Like it almost like goes like, you're a loser. You can't work with us. This is a select group.
I like love this approach that I have adopted myself, which is having a wide range of like, think about it like a store, right? Like let's say, you know, I'm trying to think of like a big expensive store, but like, let's say that you go into Zara, for example, right? And then you go in and like, maybe you can't afford to buy like 3 different outfits, but then you see a watch and then you really like it. And so then you buy it, right? Or you see a cologne or something. And even though you're not purchasing like $1,000 in clothing, you're still like being part of the club. You still, you know, you're still
like
own
you're contributing.
something.
Yeah.
That's right. You still own something from them. So I feel like every brand should have this wide range of options where you can like work with them in like a very small way, and you can do that easily by dissecting your service or product. So for example, what I have is like an audit, right? And that audit entry is like $300 or something. I mean, you can work with me and we can like, you can spend like $3,000, $4,000, but like that entry allows you to work with me and, you know, sit with me and on a Zoom video call and me diagnose what are the things that might be wrong with you.
Wow.
An hour long, $300. I mean,
Well, I actually have a question for you too. Like, so like when you do branding, like let's say you do branding with Luma, how often do they need to come back and get your services?
Like, I mean, Luma's been like, what, 4 years? 5 years?
4 years?
Yeah. Normally it's like 4 or 5 years. If it's a branding based on like some sort of a strategy. I have had like clients in the, like when I first started, which I really didn't know what I was doing. I would like, they would come back like 2 years after because there was an app day that needed to happen. But I say that when you invest in branding before, like strategy before branding, it's a lot, like it's super long lasting. So
they're getting a lot more. I feel, and my point to this too is like, you know, trying to understand like a little bit of what you do, and especially in comparison to what we do. You know, I know that like the market when it comes to like video content in a local area, it's roughly like $3,000 to $5,000 per video, like at a very low level. That's like a video that doesn't have any budget for anything other than we're coming out, we're going to film you, we're going to edit you, and then give you video, right? But the problem with that is that it has to be consistent. But the thing that you do is a product that is consistent for a long time. Like one video lasts maybe like a week or 2. You know, and before you really, like, you really need to be putting out more content than that. But it's like, let's just say that one video lasts you a couple of weeks, and it could do some good things if people know what they're doing. But like the value that you provide is way longer lasting, because it's like you do that branding. I mean, that could be, like you were saying, like 4 or 5 years, you know? And I think that's like, you know, when Devin was saying like, you know, she needs to charge more.
Oh, I know. I'm too cheap.
But I think it's important for people that don't understand, like a new business is not going to understand like the value of branding and what you're offering.
Like something I like to do is like, I've gotten into sales calls before where they're like, oh, that's really expensive. And I'll be like, really? I mean, like, let's think about it. I said, if you have a logo that lasts you 5 years, you know, and you're paying, let's say $5,000 for it, and then you divide that in per year and per month, how much are you really paying for that brand to look good, right? Like
that's true, and that's a worthwhile investment.
That's like $1,000 a year, which means that it's like what, $100 per month or something, like
something like that.
I'm not the great at math. I went to art
a little bit less than $100.
But you know what I mean. Like, okay, it's not. It's a lot.
Well, it's kind of like how much you paying for your brick and mortar.
Yeah,
you know, how much are you paying for your electricity every month?
Yeah,
and you know, the value of what people perceive is really like, in a lot of ways, in the wrong spots. Like, yeah, you need that brick and mortar, but you could have any brick and mortar.
Exactly,
you know, like
anywhere.
If you look at Gnarly Barley, like they're out in like in the middle, like they're behind Albertsons. You know, you wouldn't know they existed because you're probably not going to travel back there, but they're booming, right? Like they're doing a great job. And so, and a lot of that has to do with their branding. You know,
that branding is going to draw them in enough to where it doesn't matter where you're at. I'm going to go
connect with
purposely
them,
out of my way.
If you connect with them, that like you'll do the work. The consumer will do the work to like.
That's right, and that's what you want, right? Because like, wouldn't you rather your clients be your marketing team rather than people that you hire? First of all, like unless you're doing like affiliate stuff, but like it's free and they have gone through the experience and they're gonna use their own language and their own experience, and if they know the person they're recommending to, I mean,
means 10 times
they
more.
already trust them, you know, and so like they're doing the heavy lift for you, so you just have to really focus on having a good service, a good product, a good customer relationship, because like that's something that I have with my clients. For example, like I still to this day talk to clients that from 5 years ago, and I touch base with them and I send them stuff if I see like it's applicable to their brand. Like I'm like, oh my God, I saw this really cool thing. Let me send it to you. Maybe you can be inspired by that. Often, all the time. And so I don't want them to be like, oh, I hired her. Bye. You know, after.
Yeah, you want them to feel like, you can come talk to me whenever.
That's right. And so I feel like that is something that is constantly being built, those relationships, because that at the end, it is your marketing team.
Yeah. No, it's really powerful.
And a lot of people think that you have to go with like big companies to really get like the value. I'm not going to poo-poo on big companies because there's really good big companies out there, but like
they also charge you a lot too.
And they have like a bigger team, and so that relationship of one-on-one tends to be very
diminished.
diluted. And so I'm all about like a small businesses. That's the people that I served. And I love working with them, and I get to like their wins are my wins. You know what I mean? Like I feel like when you work with somebody so big, like sometimes they just don't care as much. But like that care is important, and I feel like especially with branding, right? And like with strategy, like you want them to be successful, because it
makes you successful.
That's right.
It feels successful.
Feels like yours, I can give some resources if you want me to. There's so Marty Neumeier is like one of the top guys in everything that is branding and marketing, especially like brand positioning. Seth Godin, great guy for everything that is permission marketing. And then I love Simon Sinek. I kind of have a little bit of a...
Okay, I don't think I've heard of...
What?
Yeah. Who is this?
Simon Sinek.
Who this? Hold on.
Okay, you gotta look.
Let's look up who Simon Sinek is.
He had a tech talk a while ago. I gotta talk to you about this because it's like mind blowing. It kind of shaped every product I have, pretty much in how I work with my clients. Yes. Simon Sinek had a tech talk, and he talked about the golden circle. And the golden circle is like the what, how, and why of your business. But it's not tied to psychology. It's not tied to psychology. It's tied to physiology, like how your brain works. And so he explains how like the limbic part of your brain is the one that gets like big information, big data, but it's not the one that makes the actual decisions. That's what you say when you say this does not feel right. It's not a feeling thing. It's another part of your brain. And so that's why you can fill them out with data and like specs and stuff, but they might not be ready to make anything. They might not be ready to make a purchase because you're not talking to the other side of the brain that actually makes decisions. And so he said when you talk to your audience from the why, which is something that makes you feel something, that makes you like have a reaction to it, your audience is more likely to make a purchase, vote. Right. Wow.
That is insane that you say that, because that is like to a T the kind of person I am. Is like I have to know why. Like you could tell me something all day, but I'm just gonna sit here and ask you why. I
get very analytical about stuff. Like I want to know why people do the thing.
Tell me why I'm doing it like this.
But not just like the why is like has to be something that inspires you somehow. That it can't just be like, oh, because I want to make more money. Like that's not inspiring. Nobody cares about that. It doesn't make
everybody wants
anything.
To make more money.
Right. Like it's like your goal should be to try and make an emotional connection with your audience in order for them to, for you to expect some sort of reaction, like
to a purpose. Yeah.
Like conversion, like serving, like loyalty, and that's the goal for every business. I think loyalty.
Yeah.
So check them out. Simon Sinek, Marty Neumeier, and Seth Godin.
Wow. Dude, I feel like I just went to college today. I really do.
No, it's good to have those resources. It really is. I'll see if I can put like Amazon links for those books in there. I'm also going to be putting links for Ollie's website, Ollie's website, and also her social media sites. Be sure to follow her. She really has a ton of great insight.
I had a ton of blog posts too that
really.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay. I'm gonna have to read those.
Yeah, there's a ton of really good information about many topics, including seasonal marketing, which is something that people don't even talk about.
Seasonal marketing.
Seasonal marketing. Yeah. So we have
that's
to
a whole nother can of worms.
We're definitely gonna have to have you back on the show, and maybe we'll just
2 or 3 times
schedule it to where it's like, all right, this is gonna be a 4-hour show, because I really could talk to you all day about this stuff, but I'm thinking about our next guest.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
But dude, no, it was fantastic. I love it, and definitely be sure to follow her on her social sites so you can learn more information. Like she said, she had her blogs and things like that. And also, if you found value out of this, which I hope you did, because there's a lot of value to be given. I know I got a lot of value out of it.
I did as well.
Be sure to hit that like button. Like let us know. Look, I'm gonna be transparent about this. Let us know what you want to see. Let us know what you like in the show. Leave us some comments. And look, we want to be here. Our whole goal is to, for this podcast, is to support small businesses. And yeah, we obviously we want to get monetized too. And so your subscription, your watch time, all those things are very valuable to us. But if we're not really serving you, then don't like it. Then don't subscribe. But we want to help you, and so your communication in the comments is very valuable to us. So thank you, and have a fantastic day.